Okay, so this next question is two questions from two different people. So we've got one from Thomas Anthony and Clayton. Thomas asks, hi there, could you explain how to install bands OTT so the bands aren't twisted? And Clayton asks, please explain the difference between mounting the bands in a V versus an A configuration. All right, so the reason I want to put these two together is they're kind of interrelated. So Thomas, you ask, how can I put the bands on an OTT format without having the bands twisted? Now, I'm assuming that you're using bands that have been tied with two folds. Two folds is a lot of times referred to as a TTF tie-in. Now, we've done videos on this before. There's a lot of debate in the Slingshot community that a TTF built band, like this one, shouldn't be shot in the over-the-top format and vice versa, and it's all a bunch of malarkey. It really is. There is nothing to prove that one is better than the other. It simply comes down to your personal preference. So what I think you're asking here, Thomas, is how do I tie them so they're not twisted with bands that are set up with two folds versus one? Here's the easiest way to do that, which is going to answer Clayton's question about mounting in an A versus V configuration. So if we have these bands set up here, we can see that they're set up perfectly for a through the forks format. The band has zero twist in it. Now, if we were to put these bands in an over-the-top format, we can see that there's not necessarily a twist, but we would call this a V configuration. Or maybe we would call this an A configuration from our point of view. A meaning that it looks like an A, that we've got the peak of the bands in the center. Likewise, if I were to turn these bands the opposite direction, that would be the V orientation. That's the way I prefer to see it. Either way is going to work. Now let's set this slingshot up using this band set here that's tied in what folks would call a TTF orientation into an OTT mounting on this slingshot. So what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to put my slingshot on the table with the target side of the slingshot facing up, and I'm going to put the band set on the table with the ammo side of the pouch facing up. We're going to keep that orientation and attach the first side, keeping all those orientations the same. So I've got this one started. All right, so target side up, fuzzy side of the pouch or ammo side of the pouch facing up. We're going to keep that exact same orientation coming back to the other side. Okay, now when we have the slingshot set up, we've got that V orientation. So imagine that if the ball were to roll out of the pouch, it would be caught in this trough and roll forward. When the projectile leaves the pouch, we've got a V on the other side. Now, if you wanted to do it the opposite way, that's fine as well. You can have an A configuration. I think a lot of folks think about this twisting here. This band is not twisted, it's set up correctly. But as we bring it under tension, we can see that there is a little bit of curve back here. Now, if that really bothers you, tie your own bands and tie your bands to the pouch in a way that eliminates that. But keep in mind, when you draw back, the part that appears twisted will not be in your line of sight. You can't see that while you're aiming down the band because it's really the last few inches of the band that your eye is picking up on, and your primary reference point is the tip of the slingshot. So really, this is something that may just be bothering you, and you can let it go. So for that, you're welcome. Don't sweat the small stuff. Stick around, we got more coming.